and I hope the Minister will take note, by the, I think it goes further than consensus, the commonality of view across the House. I mean, the backbench debates are often not party political, but I can't remember one where I think the sympathies of members have been so clearly at one, and I think probably many members, like I do, feel quite let down by this consultation. And I'm not going to personalise this as the Minister. It is obviously a government responsibility because this government is now in power, but I think we just need to bear some basic facts in mind. This is an NHS scandal, and the Secretary of State, perhaps more than any other Secretary of State, has been keen to identify individual hospitals, practitioners, events in the NHS which have gone wrong, and to point the finger and to say that that shouldn't be right. And this is the clearest case of that. This is the biggest scandal in the NHS. These are innocent victims. Many of us believe, even if the government's not going to admit it, that there is negligence and there is culpability here. But what I think we can all agree on is that there's a moral responsibility here. I hope that we all still believe that the state should act as a safety net, that we believe still in the welfare state that was set up after the Second World War. But this goes further than that. This is about state error. This is about the state making mistakes, which it is then bound to correct. And it does do that. And you can think of a variety of it. You can think of equitable life. You could think of flooding. You could think of many examples where the state can dig into its pockets and can find money when it believes there's a compelling case. Perhaps a nearer analogy would be the mesothelioma. Now, mesothelioma victims haven't had the complete compensation they need, but at least it's been recognised that where provision isn't there, even if one cannot point the finger, even if one can say it's nobody's fault in particular, there is a responsibility. The second thing I'd like to say is this has been a very long struggle. I've actually only been engaged since my boundaries changed after 2010, and I found that I had some victims, some sufferers from contaminated blood incidents in my constituency. But I think then I've been a pretty active member, taking part in meetings, debates, reviews, the APPG, and we've seen some important interventions. I credit the member from North East Beds in the work that he's tried to do, and I credit the Prime Minister for the apology he gave in relation to that. We've seen some concessions, like the fact that the existing schemes are inadequate, that they're badly run, that there are too many of them. And we've asked for a full and final settlement. We've asked for the overall impact on victims to be assessed. We've asked for each victim and their families to be dealt with as individuals. And so I don't think we expected to be in this position today, Madam Deputy Speaker, where the Haemophilia Society can write quite boldly, the majority of people currently receiving financial support will be financially worse off under the new scheme. How did we get to this situation? And if I feel, and other members feel let down, what do our constituents feel? What do people like Andrew March, my constituent, feel? His whole life has been fundamentally altered by this. His health, his life expectancy, his earnings abilities, his career, to aspirational things which I thought the government believed in, like the ability to own their own home, to live a normal life, are all out of his reach now. This is a fundamental change, and this has been going on for not years, but for decades. And so what I would say to the Minister is this. The issue of reduced income has to be looked at in full, whether that's because of discretionary payments or other reasons. The overall impact on the individual and their family has to be looked at, and the implications that go wider than simple health, that go to the whole lifestyle, have to be looked at. We should not confuse treatment and the good and new innovative schemes that are now available with the which anybody should be received from the NHS as of right. We all pay into it, with actually paying proper compensation and making sure that people are properly rewarded. Let me end by making just these two very quick points. It's already been said that Scotland has set an example. It's not a perfect example, but at least we should be able to match what is happening in Scotland. I strongly do believe that. And the second thing is, it's actually been said to me by constituents, they don't feel comfortable filling in the consultation because they don't believe it's clear, and it's honest in the way it's presented, and that the questions are phrased in such a prescriptive way that they are unable to actually communicate what they think. The government can do what it wants. I think it would be better if the consultation had been withdrawn. That hasn't happened. The government does have the power to respond to the consultation in a way which says, we have made a mistake here. We haven't taken into account everything we've done. We have to act with compassion. We have to act with honesty. We have to give proper compensation. Finally, I say, I disagree, as I really do, with the Honourable Gallup member for Beckenham. This is about justice. This is about justice, and justice can be delivered here by recognising the needs of the community here who have been infected in this way. I think the government has a duty to act.